a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
Maybe I'm a slow learner, okay? Because it wasn't until that moment, facing the gods set in the middle of his throne room, in the heart of an evil pyramid, with an army of demons outside, and the world about to explode, that I thought coming here was a really bad idea. Set rose from his throne. He was red-skinned and muscular, with fiery armor and a black iron staff. His head shifted from bestial to human. One moment, he had the hungry stare and slavering jaws of my old friend Leroy, the monster from the DC airport. The next, he had sandy hair and a handsome but harsh face, with intelligent eyes that sparkled with humor and a cruel, crooked smile. He kicked our uncle out of the way, and Amos groaned, which at least meant he was alive. I was clenching my sword so tight the blade trembled. Welcome to Of the Oldest Gods, where we discuss Rick Riordan's role as our godly parent.
I'm Raye, following the path of Geb.
And I'm Charlie, following the path of Bast.
And I'm Sam. I'm following the path of Thoth.
Hey,
And
yo!
welcome
I'm back. Guess who's back? Back again.
Hey, yo. Sam, you're here for the return of Leroy, even though he's not actually here.
Leroy Jenkins!
Every time I see the name Leroy, all I can think of is Leroy Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
I think of Leroy and Stitch, but that's just me.
Wait, I feel like we've had this conversation before.
We did. We definitely did last time.
Oh god. Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah. Good
Just
shit.
to get straight into that, not a good chapter title. Charlie, you're right. Leroy is not even here.
I was misled.
Yeah, for real.
You know what? I've got a hot take. After 37 chapters of this, I feel like there are too many chapters. We could combine a few.
We've been talking about this literally for so many chapters.
I feel like Rick is like trying to like up the tension at the end of the book by like making all the chapters short. It's like, you know, a technique. Like shorter paragraphs means like faster action.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's the same tactic. What are you saying, Sam? Sorry.
No, I get that, but at the same time, I picked up this book for the first time in 6 months and read all the way up to this end past, but I had completely forgotten what had happened in the chapter beforehand.
Oh.
I was like, whoa, okay, I need to like reread the chapter before I got back into this book here. And I get it, like Rick is kind of like experimenting with multiple perspectives, which we'll see in future books.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But like at the same time, like, and I get it, he wants to switch and make sure the voices from the people who are involved in the story are being told. I definitely think he gets much better at this in future. So if you've been turned off by the changing perspectives and have persisted this far, A, well done. You've done better than I would. But B, it gets better, I promise.
Yeah, I think this is like the problem is this is the first time he's doing switching perspectives, and he's like, I have to stick to 2 Carter, then 2 Sadie, then 2 Carter, then 2 Sadie, and I need certain things, certain scenes to happen in certain characters' perspectives. So it's like, well, I don't have a whole lot to say about Carter this chapter, so I guess he's in the car talking to Zia. I don't know, man. Something's happening here, but like, you know?
Yeah, I definitely think that he gets much better at weaving the plots and maybe telling stories from perspectives that aren't super obvious. Like, a lot of what I've read in this book, I'm like, it makes sense. It's like, I can see why he's chosen this perspective. But, like, a different perspective would be great, I think, you know. But yes, no. Look, structural issues aside, this is still a great chapter.
Absolutely. My God, it's so exciting.
It is a quick one.
Sam, it's been a hot minute since you've been
It
here.
sure
You were
has.
last on for chapter 22. So how have you been enjoying the book so far?
Oh, look, it's
What have
been
your
fun.
thoughts been since we missed you?
Yeah, look, pacing wise, I feel like we hit a high point and we stuck to it. Like,
Hmm.
I do think that we lose a little bit of development and then a break and then, more development. And I think we hit a sense of urgency 5 chapters ago, and now we're like trying to maintain this sense of urgency all the way through to the end, to the big boss battle that we're preparing for, right?
Right.
But at the same time, you know what? I'm enjoying it. It's it's been really, really easily. I just think it is a tome of a book. I was like, look how many pages are going on here. At the end of this
And
book
how
here,
big this
including the
shit
preview.
is.
Oh no, it doesn't include the preview chapter for the next book. At the end of this book, we get up to 517 pages. It's a lot of pages of book.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a good point, because this is definitely like middle grade writing, but
Mhm.
like especially for the first book in a middle grade series, this thing is fucking hefty.
Yeah.
Like normally you build up to this kind of thing.
If we think back to like Percy Jackson and the Olympians, like each of those books are like 250-ish pages at
Mhm.
max. Like it's not too big. And admittedly, I've got like a relatively small like size copy in the grand scheme of things. But like even then, I think there was a lot left up to the imagination when it came to Percy Jackson. And I feel like having written what he'd written there, he's trying to kind of replicate all of that like establishment in just one book here, so that we can spend whatever future books actually worrying about other things.
Yeah.
I do really like the world building and exposition here, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's not great for pacing, and it does, pad the thing out. I feel like that is definitely a valid criticism.
Yeah, I
It is
think
the
this is
longest of the 3, so.
yeah, I think this is where like other first books in fantasy series do really well. I'm thinking of other famous ones, but it can be pretty much any of them, where you don't have a huge amount that's like super important that goes on. It develops a lot of like baseline and it does all the world building for you, but you let the big, climaxy stuff happen in later books, whereas he's trying to do both at once, hence the tome, as I said.
Yeah. How do you feel about the plot twist, right? Who would have seen that coming? That it was Amos all along.
All along.
Oh my god, why didn't we make that joke last chapter? It was Amos all along.
Look, yeah.
I don't understand your reference. I'm so sorry.
Agatha all along.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not familiar.
Bro!
Oh,
I'm
no.
sorry.
Raye, like, it's the
WandaVision
one
is one of the
Marvel...
only things
Yeah.
that you need to watch still of the MCU.
WandaVision and Agatha All Along are like
They're separate.
the two Marvel products that I feel like I like need, like, of modern day, need to be watched. Everything else is like optional. Some are better than others. Some are much worse than others. Those two, I think, for the culture at least.
Those two and What If.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that
See.
What If you don't care about anything else MCU, watch What If.
Okay, I haven't gotten around to watching that, so I'll have to have a go at it. It's fascinating. I find this hilarious, the start of this chapter, because we're seeing it from Carter's perspective, and we've had a lot of foreshadowing that Amos is possessed by Set. We've had a lot of conversation over the last few chapters about how we can't trust Amos fully because Set could be possessing him. And just like, I don't know whether it's just like Carter's complete blind spot, but like he's only just realizing that Amos is being possessed by Set. I'm like, brother, like it's been happening for chapters now.
Yeah. We were talking about this last episode. It does feel kind of weird. And I wasn't really sure how it's supposed to play to the audience, because like we all know, right? But so my kind of theory is that the last few chapters are supposed to be like this building dread before the reveal, but I'm not really sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, it doesn't reveal, like it's not any sort of plot twist. He does the whole Rick Riordan classic cliffhanger end of chapter thing, but
Yeah.
like it doesn't feel satisfying. You just kind of go, yeah, we already know this. Like, let's keep moving on here. But At the same time, like, theoretically, it's a surprise to Carter, and it does kind of play into this reading that Sadie has of Carter throughout the whole book, that he's a little bit oblivious to what's going on around him. So, I don't know, it tracks for, like, if you had to write up a character sheet of Carter for this book.
Yeah.
And then Sadie is kind of the same, but in, like, a different way, where she's like, I just am not willing to believe it because I can't lose more family.
Yeah.
Which is an understandable trauma response, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I still think last chapter was important for how just Disney villain Set is. And, like, just dramatic about it.
In this one, it's even more. Like, he is,
right?
like, making little quips. He's a little cunty with it. I am not joking, guys.
He could be Hades from the Hercules movie. I could
Yeah.
I could see that, like, kind of cunty energy going on here.
Like, Rick brought back the queer Disney villain. He did it in this book.
I need this animated as, like, a 2D hand-drawn animation with...
Right?
Yeah.
Listen, I know Netflix, like, dropped off on, like, the adaptation, so if we can get Disney to pick this up,
please,
can we get queer-coded Set Disney villain?
To be honest, I could also see this whole book animated in a Carmen Sandiego style, which we know Netflix has done before. So, I think that would work really well.
It sure would.
I do love that style. It's just so different.
We've been chatting for a little bit. Let me do the chapter thing.
Oh, okay. I guess you can.
I don't even have that much, guys. It's pretty short. Yeah, so Leroy gets his revenge. Leroy, sir, not appearing in this chapter.
0 out of 10.
He does a villain monologue about having the pyramid as his host while possessing Amos. Thank you for the exposition, man. We love that. Sadie has to protect a passed out Amos while Carter tries to fight Set while also struggling against Horace's control. Set, like, tries to eat Nephthys out of Zia or something, but she technically isn't there. She's, like, somewhere else. I'm sure that will be explained. Horace and Carter, they finally stop working against each other and they work together and they do, like, a sick-ass fusion thing. And and now they are as one and they're gonna kick Set's ass. And that's the end of the chapter.
Do you guys remember, I don't know whether it's a classic trope of them, but I remember the particular series of Power Rangers I watched as a kid, where they all get into the robot and they control one part of the robot, one of the arms each or one of the legs each. That's what I'm imagining here when Carter and Horace bond together.
I almost wore my Voltron shirt today. I could.
And I'll form the head.
So yes, Sam, that is totally a thing, mostly in weird-ass Japanese media, which we love.
I'm here for it. I think we need more weird-ass, humanoid, godlike combinations going on.
Hell yes. Man, that is my shit. Body sharing in general is my shit. Fusion's my shit. I love it. I love all of it. I think it's so cool.
So wait. They should have done a fusion dance, right? Like,
or at least gone fusion ha,
There you go.
Just a big high five.
I want to know what Carter looks like. Right?
I was assuming the same, but he does have a big falcon body now. But
I was like, does he have, like, the aura of, like, Horace around him? Does he have, like, glowing eyes? Like, like,
that would be very interesting. And Set could tell immediately that they had done something, that Horace was there.
I'm assuming if you're looking at him in the duat, you're seeing Horace. So
that makes sense.
I'm sure once we swap to Sadie's perspective, we'll get more details.
I do want that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But that's great. Like, and Set's, like, his dramatic villain monologue is great. His complete confusion at Zia, I think, was like a great moment and I think this is where Rick has pulled something off, like, really great, where we, like, have totally believed. And, like, when I got to this chapter, I was, like, fully under the suspicion that Zia had been at the museum the night that the Rosetta Stone shenanigans had happened. And I don't know. Then it's all kind of pulled into question. I was like, wait, what's happening to Zia at the moment?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Shit's going down, man. Shit's
Yeah.
going down. Let's get into it, because I have no myths for you today. I'm crying in the club right now, okay?
He's crying
okay,
at
man.
Coachella.
I do love that Carter introduces the chapter with, well, I'm a slow learner, so leave me alone, guys.
It's giving Percy Jackson.
Yeah, it is, actually. This is where
Everybody
Carter and
does
Percy
every
are
once in a
similar.
while, because really that voice is just Rick and his natural snarkiness.
This man, if he didn't become an author, would be great on the Twitter retweet.
Yeah.
So Carter's just now realizing that maybe it was a bad idea to come in here.
I mean, how else were you gonna defeat Set? Like, were you just gonna not? Because, like, you really only had one option. And
That's
it was...
the thing. Like, we're operating under the assumption that, like, Set is defeated in some way, shape, or form at the end of this book. Like, we don't have a lot left of this book. But at the same time, I'm like, what else were you gonna do? Like, you can't, like, start, like, smashing, you know, big hammer style the pyramid. You've got to, like, I don't know, have an attempt at getting to your father who's buried inside.
Why didn't we
Yeah.
just, like, Hadi the pyramid? Why didn't we try this situation?
You know why, Charlie? Because triangles are the strongest shape. You can't. They're
correct.
invincible.
You're correct. The pyramids are, in fact, symbolic of the sun's rays. Therefore, something, I don't know. I'm making other shit up.
I'm not
Anyway.
even kidding. From an engineering sense, they are the strongest shape too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, Set looks fucking badass. He's red-skinned, he's a muscle man, and he's got a cool staff. Cool
stuff.
Okay,
I was about to say,
Rick,
all the way up to that, it's like, sexy.
once again, why sandy hair, Rick? Can we not let people be people of color who are actually from Egypt in these books? Anyways, we talked about that ad nauseum.
Didn't even notice that he had sandy hair. I'm not gonna lie.
I wonder if it, like, not to give Rick too much of the benefit of a doubt, because this is one of his more early books where there were definitely problematic things going on. But, like, part of me then goes, is this a textural thing? Are you trying to, like, describe a texture that you can't, like, yeah.
That could be
like,
it,
if he
actually.
had sand in his hair.
That could be it. I would buy that, actually.
I don't, because of the context.
Yeah,
This is
neither.
true. My problem with this is that I didn't even picture him with hair because of the amount of art that I've seen of him as just a bald dude.
Well, I think that it, like, again, these gods have, like, dual forms and stuff. Like,
yeah,
sometimes he's a big, red, muscular dude with... Okay, I guess I was also just assuming he was bald when he was red, but I don't know.
Yet again,
I was assuming he had, like, at least
Marvel.
3 visual forms, and one was the Set beast, and one was the red guy, and one was, like, a kind of normal-looking guy. But that's not actually clear here.
Yeah, yet again, we've been watching too much Marvel.
not.
I think, like, whenever we see someone with red, we're like, they must be bald.
I'm just saying, I've seen, there's, like, the official art, there's the graphic novel art, there's several fan arts that I've seen. I'm just like, is he not just bald? Was that not textual? I don't remember, actually.
Yeah, I was imagining that his fire form was either, like, bald or had, like, fire hair.
Yeah.
He's Heat Miser.
God.
I think one of his forms needs to have, like, a really, like, thick black hair that's, like, straight, and I could see it, like, all coned back, like, in a neat, like, evil style.
Ooh, yes. Dracula hair, if you will.
Yes, actually, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Amos is alive, thankfully. Set, kicks him.
He's not doing, like, great, but...
No, yeah.
So we were talking about this, how the possession was working and how that's different from being a host. And, like, it sounds like it's not really that different, but, like, he's using the pyramid as his host mostly, but he used a fragment of himself in Amos to control him. And I'm like, That makes sense. That's fine.
Maybe this man just doesn't have enough willpower to compared to Sadie and Carter. I mean, maybe
they're fighting like presumably most of a god instead of just like a little bit.
Yeah, or it's that Isis and Horus are like, I guess I need consent.
I don't know that they care that much, but I do think that they don't want to do something that's going to jeopardize their host. And I think that maybe forcing yourself can potentially harm your host. Like, Set also says that he can't make Amos do certain things without destroying him, basically.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's also a thing of, like, you can only fight what you can see. So, like, if Amos can't sense that part of Set's spirit is in him, then Amos, until Amos starts suspecting that maybe part of Set is in him influencing his decisions, he can't, like, actively fight against it. Whereas when you're fighting the whole of a god inside you, it's much easier to kind of sense where their influence is, like, changing you. Also, we're going to remember that Carter and Sadie are literal, like, 13-year-olds who probably have much more of a stronger, like, single track line sense of identity as compared to the complexity that I think a lot of adults kind of, and intersectionality, like a lot of adults kind of recognize within themselves.
I do wonder, how much control Amos has had throughout this whole book. Because, he has been, like, very kind and uncle-y towards the kids in certain scenes, and it's like, how much of that was actually him?
Maybe that was both him and Set acting together, because you never know. Set is also Horus's uncle.
Yeah, it's true.
Just the weird uncle vibes are just there.
And we see this when Carter and Horus kind of join together, right? Is that, like, they become one, and that you don't really sense a difference between the two. And maybe because they were working in unison, it doesn't, you don't sense it then.
Yeah, it's unclear. We got a little bit of a creepy moment here where Set is like, I could just use a little bit of my smoky to control Amos, and Amos, like, convulses.
Yeah, fucked up, man.
This is some horror shit. I don't like it.
So we also learn, very important, that all of the chaos magic that Amos has been doing was his idea, and it was on purpose to warn everybody that he was being controlled by Set, which, like, worked a little bit. It would have been better if it worked more.
It made Zia be like, yeah.
Yeah, it was basically flat out telling everyone that, that Set was in control of Amos, and Carter and Sadie are like, no, he's my uncle. He can't do anything wrong. There's no godly blood in my uncle. Not like my father or myself or my mother or any of the relatives. And I'm like, how like delusional do you have to be about your own relative that you met, like, what, a week ago, to kind of go, no, he can't be evil.
It's like interesting. Sorry, go ahead, Charlie.
I was gonna say, he literally says on the next page, like, we prefer blood of the pharaohs. You really thought I was gonna choose that guy over there? Like,
he calls Desjardins a commoner. What a dick.
Right?
I'm here for it. I want the Desjardins slander.
If you want to slander him more, I just call him Michelle now, because that's his first name. So I'm just like, fuck him.
That's a great one. I was just watching Gilmore Girls before I jumped on this call, so Michelle, I think, matches Desjardins' energy. Michelle.
Oh my god! Girls. Actually, let's have him play Michelle in the adaptation. It's the same guy. It's the same exact vibe right there.
Look, I was watching a TV show from 25 years ago. I'm sure everyone's aged a little bit.
No, it's fine. It's fine. He's a magician. He's been around for, I think, a couple hundred years, I think. They mentioned he's old.
Old.
Or something. I don't know.
Old man with sass vibes.
Old French man with, like, sassy vibes. I think this fucking works to me.
To be honest, the other way I mentally think of him is like he speaks Canadian French and he's a member of the Bloc Québécois and he's just like really mad at everyone who speaks English.
That would work so well if he didn't actually live in France.
Yeah, true. But you know what? It's all a fantasy in my head. So
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so Set is like, I prefer Blood of the Pharaohs, so obviously it was gonna be Amos this whole time. You fucking fools.
yeah,
You
I don't
foolish
understand.
fools.
Like, and I get it. They've been on the road for a long time, but like, if you sat down to think about it, I was like, oh, who else? And he's like, well, Carter and Sadie have are like destined to be pharaohs for and their father's been possessed. It's like anyone that's related to me has the possibility of also being possessed at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Zia. But
Look, our
also
queen.
Maybe.
but also it's unclear what's happening there. So, shit's going down, man.
Very funny line here. Sadie shouts, "You're a beast," and Set does the little like, "Me? Really?"
Gay.
Like he is. My God,
Gay.
Sir, please, yeah.
I can't. Also, your Freudian slip, shady,
Oh,
because she's throwing shade.
I love it. I do love how, I don't know, Set's been smart about this. Like, Amos, once he's, caught up on the jig and trying to warn everyone without, actually saying it out loud, Set, makes him use a huge amount of energy to do it and, tries to basically make Amos destroy himself without Set having to really do much to intervene.
Fucked up.
Yeah. So Carter is fucking mad, and Horace is like, let me control you. Come on, I'm Horace the Avenger. Let's go, baby. Let's go. And Carter's like, no.
Brother, ew.
No. My uncle was just possessed. I don't want to be possessed. Let's not.
I find this moment really interesting because it's kind of a hint as to what's about to happen. Because the two of them are arguing with each other, and then Set says some shit that makes them mad. And the two of them are mad at the same time, and then they are able to do something really powerful.
Glowing fist.
They have to be in sync. Yeah. Anyways.
In sync, like the band. Anyway.
Just wanted to point that out because it's cool.
Absolutely.
I do love it. I do love how anger has united them. There's a lot of really frustrating things that happen to Carter and Sadie in this book where they just either do not have the knowledge or the background or the strength or the understanding of what's going on around them. And on a normal day, I would be infuriated. So having this is just this anger kind of unite Carter and Horace is just a really fitting moment for all of the frustration they felt through the last through the book so far.
You're right. The world has been deeply unfair to them. I don't know why, but that makes me think of, in a series of unfortunate events, there's this line where someone's being shitty and they're like, you have to understand, they had a very bad childhood. And the main character is like, I'm having a very bad childhood right now.
Yeah. You're continuing the cycle, dude. Guess what?
Yeah, exactly. Anyways. So Carter is having a very bad childhood right now. And he's gonna do what he can do about it.
Yeah. And then Set drops this little bit of haha, that's ineffective. But actually, guess what? I'm gonna entomb all of you. Right here. All four of you.
All four of my precious siblings. Which is so interesting. Rick feels like he really tries to avoid the incest thing in the original PJO series. And in this one, because we have the different hosts like thing going on. We can be like, you are my sister in one life and my wife in another, and like just kind of acknowledge that and have that be part of the story. And I think that that's interesting.
I think it's a
Yeah.
lot neater than the way that kind of Rick Riordan kind of brushes over the complexities in the Olympians.
Yeah.
I guess
Gods
it
don't have
depends on who
DNA,
you
guys.
ask, like who's gonna be like more offended by like gods don't have DNA versus like it's just their host, so it's fine.
Yeah, but it's nice. So he drops the lore about Zia, which is fascinating. But then Carter is like very confused because obviously he's been using his skills to kind of like sense what people are up to, and then and he's not sensed anything in Zia, the whole time.
Like, there's
So-
no divine magic there. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
And we've had interactions where Zia seems to be confused as to, what's going on around her. So like this is,
Mhm.
an interesting interaction where Set, basically is confronting Zia, almost taunting Carter, who has acted out against him. And Set obviously doesn't realize what's going on either.
So I don't remember what's up with Nephthys. So like what we know so far is like she is in a sleeping host far away. Zia says that what's his name? Iskandar took her off to the side and said he was going to hide her somewhere, and then he did and he didn't at the same time. So she both is and isn't Nephthys. Maybe there's a small part of her in her, but most of her is somewhere else. I really don't know. And I don't like she does know Set's secret name, so there's definitely some kind of connection. Anyways, I don't have any actual theories, but I think that it's very, very interesting.
It is really fascinating, and I think as well, I think it's a really interesting thing because obviously we've just been told that theoretically Zia has Nephthys in her, and Carter's like, well, that doesn't make any sense because I would have sensed that, and
Mhm.
there are just enough things that aren't aligning that you go, what is going on here?
Right, because
Yeah.
Set is talking to her as Nephthys, and then he's like, wait, she's not here. Like, he's also confused.
Mm-hmm.
So something's going on here.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I don't know. Maybe it will resolve.
Charlie was, like, smiling at me earlier, like...
I can't say nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just chilling.
I love not remembering shit because then I do get to, like, do little theory things and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a theory. A game.
A game theory. God.
And my other favorite little gay thing that Set does is like say, "Haha, I'm gonna have the complete set. The complete set. That's funny. Haha."
God.
Gosh,
Oh
man.
my god.
My evil little gay man. I love him.
It's just like how he was excited about being in Phoenix earlier in the book. Like, he loves puns, I guess.
You know what? The one country that is ripe for puns like this is America, though. Like, you cannot, you can't have towns like Phoenix and kind of go, well, are we gonna not? We can't make the joke about it. It's like, no, yeah, we have to make the joke.
Obviously.
So,
Set's like, yeah, he's trying to figure out what the heck's going on with Zia, and Zia's trying to protect herself, like...
Yeah, she attacks Set and has, like, no effect with, like, the rest of her magic, and now she's pretty much out of commission.
And she's like, Carter, just don't worry about me. You worry about Set, okay? Like,
she also
there are
says,
priorities here.
Don't resist, which,
True.
he thinks that that's about Set at first, and then it turns out to be important later.
Yeah. Also, Sadie is protecting Amos on the floor.
And then also Zia,
sad.
once she's also out of commission, like, Sadie is... she's got her wand, she's doing the defensive shit as well as she can.
Zia's, like, flying around like a rag doll, and it's not great. Poor Sadie, having to, like, just stay with the wounded.
Yeah, I love how Carter is just standing there watching this all happen, and Sadie's doing all the real work here. I'm like, come on, Carter, help out.
He's doing his best. Can I go off topic for a second?
Okay.
Can I just say something?
Yeah?
It feels so backwards to me that the staff is for offense and the wand is for defense. Because the wand is like a boomerang, so you should be able to throw it at people and hurt them with it. I don't know, it does not feel like a defensive weapon for me.
No,
You're
agree,
right,
Raye.
actually.
Yeah.
You're so right.
Whereas a staff you can use to block blows. You can't do that with a boomerang.
We saw this in the other chapter where, like, Zia used the staff, and I was like, why? Like, surely there's another way that this
I
magic should be
feel-
happening.
I feel like it has to be that way for Carter to have the sword, because Carter's not gonna have a staff and a sword, right? That doesn't make sense to me. Him having a wand and a sword makes sense to me, because, like, those are both light weapons. You see what you see?
I see what you're saying. I don't know, man. It just bugs me. Like, symbologically, it feels opposite.
You're absolutely valid, and I understand what you're saying. I just think that Rick was like, I gotta figure out what one of these things has to go. It has to be one way or the other. So, if I want Carter to have sword, it's gotta be the wrong way around.
Yeah. And then we have this great, like, kind of building realization that Carter has, that don't resist doesn't mean don't resist Set. It means don't resist Horus. You know, the anger kind of builds, which I think is great. I think this description here is a really great, like, evidence that Rick, you know, is a really good writer of, you know, rising like resolution that does really well towards the end of the, like, you know, we almost get these fully formed characters into the last big battle of the books, which is always really nice.
Yeah. This is like such an insane power up for book 1, though.
It really
Right?
is. And it's so cool. This is like this is the anime shit to me. This is the shit that I love. It makes me so happy.
If this is not animated, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I just think that this is anime bullshit.
Yeah. He sees every host that Horus has had throughout all of his lifetimes. He just entered the Avatar state. Like,
Correct.
his eyes should be glowing. You're right.
I love this description of, like, how rare this, like, union between the two of them is. It's like that time when a coin doesn't land on heads or tails. It stands on its edge, perfectly balanced.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Right? Hey, that's how you uphold ma'at. It's balance. It's,
yeah,
there you go.
Okay, I do have one problem, one criticism.
Oh no.
This would make more sense to me if Horus and Carter had ever gotten along before this.
You're correct. You're absolutely correct. They should have had bonding moments. That
in my head, this makes sense.
They've had like one.
Yeah, it would make sense for Sadie and Isis to have this happen first, right? Because they've been much more aligned on things as time has gone on.
Yeah, Horus has been kind of an asshole.
I think that's just Horus's entire vibe, is that he's an asshole.
Yeah.
But also, Carter has also been a bit of an asshole too. So I don't know. Maybe they've just been matching energy,
which is really the whole point.
True. Oh man. Yeah.
Pedals of the bike. What a great description of controlling a human from the inside out.
Yeah, I love Set's just like, oh, so, like, you're free, Horus? You're controlling him now? No, actually, I am Carter Kane, but I'm also Horus. Waha! I am
My name is Amiga Montoya.
Horus, yeah.
You kill my father, prepared to die.
Correct.
And in the name of the moon, we shall punish you.
You know, this is the vibes, bro.
It is a great way to end a chapter. Like, you know.
Yes, it's so good.
Also, I cannot take the word Nat seriously. Just the way it's spelt. It should not be read or spelt seriously. But that's okay. I will forgive and forget.
Silent G. Weird as hell. It's true.
It's like the old-fashioned way of spelling jail, Gaol. We still use it here in Australia quite frequently, and it throws me every time. I'm like, what is this word doing here? Get it out of my sight. If you want me to use the word jail, spell it normally, please.
I have always wondered what that was. Like, I've seen that spelling in, like, old-fashioned shit, and I did not know it was jail.
Yeah. Literally, it's just an alternate spelling for jail.
That's fucked
quite
up.
Out of date. Yeah.
The fuck?
You know what bothers me? It's when there's an S and a consonant and an S. one of my least favorite words in the world is wasps. I think it's so unpleasant to say.
No, I take great pleasure on the pss.
I don't know. It doesn't feel right. Okay, but that is neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Sam, you should tell people where to find you.
Yes, you can find me at sam.the.journalist on Instagram and on TikTok. I'm also the host of Content and Capable, so you can find Content and Capable wherever you get good podcasts. You can also find it on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well if you're Facebook oriented. But yeah, come follow me. My season started a couple of weeks ago. We've had some great people on. I actually had Mike Schubert on from Podless the other week, which was such a great thing. And obviously, as a fellow Deus Ex Media podcast, it's always nice to duck around the family and say hello to everyone.
Absolutely.
So, gosh, I almost slipped into bogan speak there. So I'll be careful. But yes, find me there. You can also find me on ABC Southeast South Australia if you are ever interested in what I do for a day job.
Hell yes.
Sam just talks. That's what he always does.
I do a lot of organizing. I do more organizing for that than I do for most of the rest of my life. Yeah, we're recording this on a public holiday weekend, and normally it would be a 4-day weekend, but I've sacrificed one of my public holidays to work. So I've had to
Tragic.
try to convince people to be willing to speak on radio on a public holiday, which apparently no one wants to do. It has not been a fun day.
Oof.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll see what happens on Monday morning.
We sure will. Media plugs, my friends.
Oh, gosh, I'm going to go find my list for a hot second. So if someone else wants to plug to start with, please go ahead.
So I don't actually have a media plug, but I guess I have a recommendation. Our D&D group took a break because our DM was tired. There's been a lot going on. So what we did instead was have a drawing party. We all got together and we all brought an item and we put them together in the middle of the table as like a little setup still life, and then we all drew that from different angles, and then we did kind of figure drawing, not really, but like we all did a pose for 5 minutes and had everyone sit around us and draw the person doing the pose and like did little 5-minute sketches. And we had a wide variety of people, some of whom are artists and some of whom never draw, and like seeing everybody's different stuff that they produced at their different skill levels at different angles. It was really cute and really fun, and I recommend doing stuff like that. I think that getting together and being creative with your friends is really fun and good.
Oh, that's lovely. That's beautiful.
Raye, you're so wholesome.
Aww.
I am going to plug a Netflix series that I've just finished watching the other week. It's called The Residence. It's like a Agatha Christie like mystery, Knives Out, like kind of Knives Out style, with like this odd inspector set in the White House about like someone who dies in the White House, and it is so good. The way that they like kept me invested and the corners kept turning, but then every time that they explained something and explained, what was going on, or like made a discovery, I was like, oh no, that makes perfect sense. We've built like this all the way, but it didn't feel obvious. I kind of guessed the killer a little, like maybe an episode or two early, but at the same time, it didn't take any pleasure out of watching it. And the last episode's quite long. I think it was like a 90-minute episode, but like just so much fun, so whimsical. The detective is great, and just was, it was just a delight to watch. So yeah, The Residence on Netflix.
Wonderful. And if you can figure out the mystery, that's technically good, because that means that there are actually hints in the thing. Sometimes people aren't that good at writing mysteries, so...
Well, look, 70% of it was vibes, but there was a 30% of like, this person is definitely up to something. But yeah.
Sus.
Yeah, sus energy. Sus energy from start to finish. But everyone had sus energy, so you had to figure out which was the most sus.
Nice. Charlie?
Sorry, I got very distracted. It's the ADHD of the life. My plug is Well, last week I had my housewarming party. I had some friends come over and be like, "Hey, I got apartment by myself. I'm big
Yay.
adult person who does things. Wow, what's up with that?" And we played some Jackbox games. So
Oh, I love that.
I think my plug is playing some good old Jackbox games like Whiplash and shit with friends, because that inspired us to start doing that in the server a little bit. Maybe we have a new thread called semi-regular game night.
I love it. It did take me like a good 30 seconds to realize what was going on then. But like that was totally fine. Once I figured it out. I'm so glad that you had such a fun time at your housewarming, Charlie.
Yeah,
that's
we
wonderful.
Stayed up till 2 a.m. playing like Quiplash, and I taught them how to play Blather Round.
I love it.
It was so fun playing Quiplash when we realized, oh, we can make up our own quips. We can make up our own like prompts for this. And we didn't realize you didn't have to fill in all 64 of the blanks. So we just kept
Oh my
going.
gosh.
And we're
Oh my
like, we're running out of
gosh.
ideas. So there were like vampires ? As a prompt, werewolves ? Aliens, ghosts, and it's like, what the fuck, guys?
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
Just some random ass shit,
Yeah.
y'all.
That's
They
goofy.
know go to those Jackbox games, and I feel like they create so many great in-jokes as well. It really help bring like a group of friends together.
They sure do. Somebody made a prompt called "Why did Charlie cry this week?" And I was like, how dare you call me out? The one that won was having to leave the house. So
Wow.
I was called the fuck out. Yeah.
That is a mood, though.
Okay.
I just like to
How-
exist here and not leave.
Oh, big mood bestie! But speaking of which, though, you should release us from this mortal coil, and then we'll have to,
Yeah, I guess I will, because I want to be like alone in my own space. So get the fuck out of my house. Y'all, I'm entering the avatar state. Me and Horace have become one. Why are you in my head? Get out.
Knock, knock.
It's only me and Horace allowed here. Okay?
Oh, you want some alone time with him? Is there something going on there, Charlie?
So, is there something we need to know, Charlie?
Yeah, is there something you want to tell us about?
No, that's me and Bast, actually.
I mean, I guess that is how it would be going.
All right. Well, bye.
Bye.
Of the Eldest Gods would like to thank its $10 and up patrons. This means you're either in the Savior of Olympus tier or the God Complex tier on our Patreon, patreon.com/oftheeldestgods. Thank you all so much for your support, especially Matt, our God Complex patron.
You can follow this podcast socials at Of the Eldest Gods Pod on Instagram and Tumblr. You can send us a message through the Duat to oftheeldestgodspod@gmail.com. If you'd like to support us financially, join us at patreon.com/oftheeldestgods. By becoming a patron, you can join the Deus Ex Media Discord server, where you'll be able to chat with us and other listeners about the Riordanverse or whatever else. Our $5 patron tier also gets you access to Against All Odds, our monthly bonus show. There, we'll talk about a wide variety of topics, which usually have something to do with mythology, no promises. You can check out our merch store on Redbubble to find custom designs made by Charlie. Or if you cannot or do not want to support us financially, we'd really appreciate a rating, a review, or letting your friends and followers know how much you love the podcast. That really helps. If you want to hear more from me, Raye, check out Barbie Movie Slap, a podcast where my co-host Ted and I discuss Barbie's cinematic universe. That podcast Twitter is at Barbie Slaps.
You can follow me, Charlie, at GreenPixie12 on most platforms. I also have an art Instagram at GreenPixieDraws. You can also hear my voice on 2 other podcasts. I co-host another podcast on the network with the meme maker Robert called The Bits, where we talk about the Cartoon Network show Steven Universe. I also co-host a non-network podcast with my buddy Ethan called Mysteries in the Machine, where we talk about all things Scooby-Doo. Our music was created and produced by Isabel Strauss-Riggs. You can find Isabel at Kane I, that's I is in the body part, on Instagram and Twitter. She also currently makes video essays on the YouTube channel Kane I. Feel free to message her about making music for your project or editing your podcast.
Of the Eldest Gods is based on the series by Rick Riordan. Right now we are discussing The Kane Chronicles. Remember to follow us on your favorite podcatcher and meet us back here every Thursday.
Have you ever gotten so distracted in Stardew Valley that you forgot to sleep? Have you realised that you have a whole room in your house full of dolls? Or have you even bored your friends to sleep talking about your passion? Well then, Content Capable is the podcast for you. Join me, Sam, as I chat to people passionate about what they do, asking questions about how they fell in love with their passion, what they do, and how it interacts with their day-to-day lives. Catch the podcast every Monday as I find out what makes someone tick, all while gleaning interesting and insightful life lessons along the way. There'll be laughs, a bit of crying, a whole lot of conversations, and we learn just a little bit more about the world around us.
Get all the coughs out before I have to talk for an hour-ish.
It's so rough, man. Your poor voice.
I feel sorry for you, but then also I do this for 4 hours straight as a day job, which is kind of annoying. And yeah,
you don't have to feel bad for me, Sam. You're doing the most.
Oh yeah. Yes and no. Sometimes the most, and sometimes the least. Overcook, undercook, as they say in Parks and Rec.
Oh my goodness.
I've always wanted to make voice work of some kind, singing or acting or podcasting or whatever into a career. And then it's bestie, your throat and lungs are so weak and shitty.
Right?
I promise it's a lot of fun. I totally didn't have conniptions over the pronunciation of the different variants of the pronunciation of one word today with a friend / colleague.
Mm. Bitch, that's the whole podcast here.
Mm-hmm.
Pronouncing shit terribly and then putting it on the internet and saying, I'm sorry, Greece. I'm sorry, Egypt. I am just a small white kid who has no idea
France.
What's happening.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, France.
Oh, look, the French language has a special burning pit in hell, I find. Mm-hmm. I think that French people created the French language to make people just angry.
Literally, and that's just my hot fuck with everyone.
Every time I've had to pronounce a French name, I have wanted to murder someone.
What do the letters mean? The letters are meaningless. You make up the sounds, honestly.
Even German makes more sense. In German, they just putting words together and it'll be 5 words and that's one word.
Yes. I love that for them actually, though. That makes sense to me.
It does. It does make sense. But with
I
French,
think we need more compound words in English. There are certain things. Sorry. This is a whole thing for me. Each other is a compound word. I will not put a space in it. It's wrong. I don't care.
Look, you can use the combination of each and other together. I'm sure there's a context in which they need to be separated. But if you're saying each other, it's one word.
Yeah, you pronounce it as one word. It's a compound word.
This is correct.
Thank you. Thank you for validating me and my wrong-ass English. Yeah, there are several words that are like that where I'm that should be a compound word, and so I'm just going to write it as one.
Yeah. No one needs to be one word.
Yeah, agreed.
That's just noon.
You're wrong, Charlie.
I've watched the Librarian movies. I know.
Oh, is this a thing?
They made this a joke.
Oh my god.
You have to go and you trust no one. And then he meets somebody named Nicole Noon. And then guess what? That's who he's supposed to trust. God. It's a fucking joke, man.
My god. Okay, no one can have a dash in it. That's my hot take now. Yeah, because there we go, we fixed it.
Just for pronunciation purposes.
Yes, exactly.
There's a creator on TikTok that does like pretends to be different fonts, but then I also think that she pretends to be like different like commas and M dashes and N dashes and stuff.
Oh, I love that.
And it is great. The monologues that she creates about like grammatical function of, anyway, chef's kiss.
What is this, burn before reading? Why are we talking about the English language?
I feel like if we say much more, we'll summon Christina and we will really just not get anything done.
It's great. It's amazing. Okay.
Dave X Media.